We're pivoting. What's up, Mitch?
What's up? I'm just glad it's football season. Like, we could actually see highlights on the field of games being played, especially starting next week. So, yeah, I'm excited.
We opened it up to all of our fine folks in the Patreon, in the Discord, and we said, what do you guys want us to talk about today? And it was funny because almost every single topic or question tied into each other. And then it culminated from our buddy, True J Stu. I think that's it. The 10 quarterbacks that we see as most likely to not start week one, that are starting this year, to not start week one in 2024 for their same teams. So there's a few guys that I think will switch teams, but we're kind of going to do like a top 10 list here. We don't typically do stuff like this, but it's going to be a fun episode. I'm sure we're going to disagree a little bit. For the most part, though, I think we're going to be pretty on point. And it was fun going through the list, and I have a whole spreadsheet prepared, so I'll be sharing my screen here in a little bit. But before we get to that, first year quarterbacks, well, entering year two. All right. So we got what? Pickett, Ritter, and Howell, and Purdy?
Yes. Yep.
I would just say Love doesn't really count. Obviously, he's still year one, basically. But okay, so those three quarterbacks. Let's throw Love in there too, because there were two questions that kind of. Ron said Desmond, Ritter, and the other first-year starting quarterbacks, and then Nick Spanky right after. Who has the higher dynasty value next year? Love, Pickett, or Purdy? So let's go Love, Pickett, Purdy, and Sam Howell, and Ritter. Let's just get all of them in there together.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I'm not going to ruin the upcoming top 10, but I will say only one of these guys I don't have listed in the top 10. Well, actually, I have a top 13. So, it's how it goes. But I think Pickett is easily the one that has the highest ceiling out of all of them. And I like his situation. I like Purdy. It's just if he stays healthy, if he produces on the field as much, I think Kenny Pickett can add that rushing game that Purdy is never going to give us. And so I think Pickett is really the easiest one to go. Like, he has the highest ceiling among the guys. Then I think easily the lowest floor is Howell. I mean, we don't even know if he's for surely starting week one yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sam Howell, probably the most precarious out of that group. Desmond Ritter, he's already getting a glowing endorsement. There's J Stu.
There we go.
The real fake J Stu. Pickett does seem most likely from that group to be starting in 24, he says. And I agree. And from a dynasty value perspective, he's the only one, I mean, Love, but a few years removed, that has that first round draft capital. That's going to be, okay, we can understand why an organization would stick with him, even if he were to struggle a little bit. The good news is for him, this defense looks to be absolutely locked and loaded, and they are going to keep them in game. So even if he is not great, they're still going to be in a position. I've seen people have them projected at 10-7, 11-6, and still missing the playoffs, which with the AFC and their strength, that wouldn't shock me at all. So I do think, and I really do believe he takes a step forward. I know there's been a lot of back and forth and conversations. I think, Jay Stu, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was you that has been very anti Kenny Pickett, at least earlier in the offseason.
Hate to see it. I've been on that buy train all off season long. But I was just going to bring up, you brought up the Steelers and their defense. And I think that matters so much for these projections with the quarterbacks. It's not their individual talent. You could absolutely hate Kenny Pickett, and that's fine. But if their team is just good enough to play him out of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks coming out in the 24 draft, then how are they going to get replaced? Are they going to get one of these aging veterans to come in? So far, the Steelers just haven't really been a team that goes out and picks up the 30-year-old veteran and brings him in to be the starter. So for me, I think Pickett's pretty safe as far as everybody goes.
See, I think he's safe. And what you said and what Jeff's saying in the chat about the higher floor, I agree with that. But I could see him being one of those quarterbacks that is just always a low end quarterback too for fantasy purposes.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely.
So it's more of, yes, he's going to have the value compared to these other guys, and he's on the younger side, obviously. So he's going to have that value bump because of age. But is he really going to be giving you that much? And I keep saying over replacement. And I just don't know the answer to that question is yes. But when we compare Pickett to Jordan Love, to Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter, who was Brock Purdy.
Yep.
It wouldn't shock me a year from now. I think Purdy is the only one. I think Purdy has the best chance to leapfrog Pickett. But then Desmond Ritter, there are scenarios because of the weapons around him that he potentially could. But I put Ritter in that same bucket where unless he's hyper efficient, I don't think the passing volume is necessarily going to be there, but he has the weapons, and maybe he gives you that low end quarterback 2 production. From a projection standpoint, I think we have him coming in like quarterback 28 to 30 this year.
Yeah, I mean, his projection's really hard too. That whole offense, when you do the projections, you end up having just to like the team a little bit more to actually like those players on your dynasty teams.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so for me, and Mitch, correct me if you disagree here, but for me, that order would go, and this is based off of expectations in 2023, because there are scenarios where this all changes, obviously.
Yep.
But the way I see it playing out, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy, Desmond Ritter, Jordan Love, Sam Howell.
Yeah, I actually have Ritter over Love, but we're pretty close. We're pretty close there.
I'd Ritter over Love.
Well, I guess the way you listed them, I think Ritter has a better chance to start for the Falcons next year than I think Love has a chance to start for the Packers.
Yeah, I went Pickett,
okay, my bad,
Purdy, Ritter.
Then we agree.
Love and Howell. And as I'm saying this, I might even, and I listen, this is a lot of the training camp stuff coming out with Jordan Love, but I could see a scenario. I mean, there are many scenarios where Jordan Love is not the starting quarterback in 2024.
Oh, he cannot be the starting quarterback by week 10. I mean, there's a decent chance that happens.
Yeah. And Jay Stu, that's exactly it. You can tell yourself a story for any of these guys leveling up, but history tells us most will be gone. Right. And Jay Hall, what's up? All right. Rem Dog, how to approach the aging quarterbacks like Cousins, Rush, Geno, Carr, who seemingly have job security with contracts or expected landing spots. Is this a situation where if you could just tear up, you do it?
If you can, yeah. But those are also guys I'm okay with having my quarterback too. I mean, until Stafford, had his bad back injury this year, I was completely okay just having as my quarterback too for the last 5 years. Derek Carr's been kind of that guy for you for a long time to where like you're completely okay having him on your team. And Geno Smith is that guy for me this year to where he's on my team. Cool. I don't really need to tear up because I know getting a quarterback like him isn't all that dynasty and superflex. We always say quarterbacks are so expensive. The top ones are, but you can almost always find a team that's trying to shed points, especially in potential points leagues, to where they're looking to move a Geno Smith or Stafford or Derek Carr, whoever you want to say. Those guys are pretty easily attainable throughout the offseason and during the season, in my opinion. So I don't think you really need to move off them. If you want to, of course, tear up, get the younger, better quarterbacks if you can, but don't break your team to do it, in my opinion.
And I think what's going to be possible is as the season progresses, if there are teams that are going 1-4, 1-5, 0-5, whatever it is, and they have a Derek Carr on their team, you have enough information up to that point. Okay, the Saints are doing well. Carr is giving you maybe, let's just say, high-end quarterback 2 numbers on a weekly basis, and he's contributing towards you being able to compete. If you need to backfill that quarterback 2 spot, or maybe you have somebody like a Mac Jones that it didn't take the leap that you were hoping, something like that, then you can make a move, and even at a more reasonable price than right now. Because I'm running into so many people right now, and I'm sure I have teams like this, and I'm looking at it like this too, where everybody thinks they're going to be able to make a push right now. It's August.
Oh, I can make the playoffs. Yeah, this team can do it.
Yeah, so things are, and we see it every year, things are really going to shake up then at that point in time. And that is when you're going to see these kind of quarterbacks moving significantly. And like you said, they're really not going to be all that expensive to acquire if you're looking to do so.
And on rebuild teams, one of the easiest things to do is you send your injured player for their quarterback. You know, if someone's trying to lose it, that's one of my favorite moves to make in the season because I'm not losing any points off my team. The guy's already injured and I'm gaining a starting quarterback. So that's something that I think it's always available. And that's something that we probably talk about as much as we should.
All right. So out of those 4 quarterbacks, Cousins, Russ, Geno, and Carr, how are they going to be valued in, let's just say, in startups in January? What order do they go?
I'd say, I think it's really Cousins. Geno's going to be really close to Russ, and then Carr will be, I think Carr's just kind of in that point in his career to where he'll never be valued really high unless that offense comes out and surprises everybody. But you can look at a guy like Goff. Goff's value hasn't really gone up, and they had a spectacular offense last year.
Right.
So you'd have to buy into the Saints doing the same thing. And I just don't think we see any value change for Carr.
For me, I actually think with the way things play out, I think Geno's going to be valued potentially the highest out of all of them.
Could be.
And then I'm saying Russ, and then I'm saying Cousins, and then I'm saying Carr. And the only reason, and I know Cousins' production on a yearly basis, I love Cousins, but we're going to get into it here shortly. I think there's going to be question marks. And at the beginning of the offseason, where is Cousins going to be playing in 2024 and beyond? That's going to kind of mess up his ADP from an early offseason value perspective, I think.
Yeah, it easily could. I mean, he's not, don't want to say he's not going to play for the Vikings because I honestly don't know what they're going to do because I think they're going to be a good enough team to, they're not going to have that draft capital. So they're going to have to bring in a vet. And why would you bring in a vet that's different than Kirk Cousins when he's probably the best vet that's going to be on the market next year? So it's that weird thing, but you're right. We're fickle when it comes to dynasty values. I mean, if we don't know where he's at in February, he probably drops 4 or 5 spots as a quarterback just because that's what happens now.
Well, think about just with Aaron Rodgers.
That's a good point.
The way his value has shifted. Derek Carr as well. Well, he's not going to be starting for the Raiders. And then it dropped a little bit. Once we have clarity in any situations, even if it might not be a better situation, then we get a nice little bump. Jay Hall, are you waiting to move Carr if you have him on a team that's out of playoffs? If so, what do you think you could get?
Exactly. So we brought this up just a little while ago. There's no reason to move him now unless someone's going to give you a 24 first, right? I'm not moving him for a second. There hasn't been any real big injuries yet, unless you could get like maybe a Jameson in return, something like that. But for me, I'm waiting for a team who's going to lose a quarterback. There's going to be some bye week things. They're competing. They really need Derek Carr to compete, as funny as that sounds. But I would look for whatever injured player they have on their team and then a draft pick on top of it. And if not, I'm asking for the 24 first. And I'm being very stingy about that because I absolutely love trading for injured players in the offseason because you could almost during the season, because you could always move them for more as soon as that offseason hits.
Man, my glasses, they've been all jacked up. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like, and I just keep seeing it. I'm like, oh my God. I know I watched back during, I think it was last week's episode with Dan, because again, I'm psychotic. So I watch back, I listen back, everything. And the whole time I'm sitting there like this, just shifting my glasses. Would you move Derek Carr for Desmond Ridder plus? And let's just say that plus you're contending, or I'm contending, you're not. I offer you Desmond Ridder in my second in 24.
No, I wouldn't. Keep Carr. Yeah, I'd keep Carr at that point. Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to get enough added to a Desmond Ridder, and that's going to come into play here in a few minutes. I just don't think I'm going to get enough to really make it worth my while that is going to allow me to hedge on that bet.
Perfect.
All right. This is
We did have one question about a running back.
Oh,
from
yeah,
Kev in the
yeah.
chat. So,
Javonte?
yeah, it's just, is there a Javonte sell window right now?
Let me see. Share screen. Oh, let's do window.
This is like a Dan Hot Takes thing right here.
Here, let's see. So, right now, I just want to pull up recent Javonte trades.
That's fair. Javonte.
All right.
Ooh, yeah. There is a sell window.
So if you're just listening, no problem. We'll be reading it off the page here. Javonte for a 24 first and a 12-team super flex. Javonte for a 24 first and a 12-team super flex. Those both took place yesterday. Or one was 10-team. I'm sorry. One was 10-team. So
I mean, looking through these, it looks pretty close to a 24 first value on most of these trades that we're seeing on the screen right now.
And based on that, I mean, and again, Dan and I just said this so many times with Dan last week. It's kind of just the nature of running back.
It is, without a doubt.
And if I can get a 24 first in a lot of spots for most running backs, I'm okay with that because you're going to be able to plug and play. You're going to be able to get really close to equal production for far less.
Yep.
So yeah, I do believe this opens the door a little bit. And for Javonte, let's see here. You see his little chart here. This is January right here.
Yep. Yeah, so you can see his injury happened and then he dropped about half value as far as like the scoring goes, and it's pretty much stayed there since. But that's going to continue to trickle up as we see him play throughout training camp. As long as there's no injuries, there's no hiccups, I think his value is just going to keep climbing as far as the running backs go. But for me personally, if I can move him, I'm moving him off every team.
Yeah, let's see here. A little chart on KTC over the last, let's do month. Hasn't really moved. He's gone up a little bit.
But I mean, we're just barely finding out. So I think we haven't seen the actual change on the rankings, but I do think people are more willing to acquire, to where a month ago, no one was willing to acquire Javonte.
Okay, here. So 6 months ago on KTC, he was running back 7, running back 8, running back 7. Okay. And today he's running back 15. If we get a few more positive blurbs about how it's just so remarkable, right? That just this insane,
looks great, a best condition he's ever been in his football life.
Yeah, I think that opportunity is still going to be there. And hell, I think you might see some 24 first, maybe a second.
I could see
eventually if somebody's really buying in. What was that tier up to Bijan? Let's see here. Come on.
That was a huge trade.
Tyreek Hill and Javonte Williams and Zach Evans for Bijan and Rashee Rice in a 14-team league.
I would take Bijan in a heartbeat. Like, zero hesitation.
Yeah, and I know this is something, I don't want to get sidetracked here, but this is a trade that came up in the Discord, and then there was a comment. Somebody was surprised at the early results from the poll, but it was JSN, a presumed playoff 24 first, and Kendre Miller for Bijan Robinson. And if I'm not contending, yeah, that's a really nice return. But Bijan, I mean, and who knows how much of it's going to be unwarranted hype when it's all said and done.
Yep.
But I just want him on my team.
Exactly. I mean, dude, like the one thing that after you play in Dynasty for a long time is if there's a player that's hyped, even if they suck, they don't drop in value. Like he could go out there and be Cam Akers this year, right? People will still love him because they're going to buy into their pre-draft assessments. So for Bijan, I have no hesitation paying up for him because I know there's someone in the league that even if he is terrible this year, they're going to pay out the nose for him in the future.
Yeah, and that's when it's two super fragile assets. Tyreek Hill, just because of the age. And again, you see the training camp blurbs, and one of the reporters like, it just doesn't seem like Tyreek has that pizzazz, if you will. And I'm sure we get to the season, game
He'll
one,
be
Tyreek Hill
fine.
has 5
Yeah,
catches,
no worries.
160 yards, 2 touchdowns, saves a baby's life, like whatever. And then Javonte Williams. Yeah, Javonte Williams. Yeah, give me Bijan and Rashee Rice. I mean, you could move off him now probably for a second value if you weren't looking to keep him.
No, easy, super easy. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
That was
Here we
it.
go. Here we go. Okay. So I went through today and I pulled the 2024 dead cap number from Over the Cap, OTC. I was going to say KTC. I was like, that's not right. And this is pre-June 1 of 2024. And then obviously if they trade post.
There's a lot of things they could do to make these different.
Yes. But as it stands today, I went through and included every current starter. Now, like I put Baker Mayfield. We can include Kyle Trask there. The dead cap hit for him is essentially nothing. Yeah. I included Brock Purdy. Trey Lance was like a $10 million dead cap. So if you think he ultimately is the starter, but based on what we think today, and I kind of spoke for you here, Mitch, when I put this list together, but we're going to run through. Mitch, I want your honorable mentions first. So this is who is most likely to not be starting for their current team week 1, 2024. So before we even get to number 10, I want your kind of honorable mentions.
All right, I have 3. So Kyler would be my number 13. Just, you don't know with the new coaching staff and how long he's going to be injured, but and then 12 is Mac Jones. I just think the Patriots are going to be good enough to where he's probably not going to be replaced. And then 11 was Cousins. I mean, we talked about a little bit already I don't know what the Vikings are going to do to replace him. Yes, his contract's up. Yes, he could go somewhere else, but the Vikings still have to bring someone in. They're not going to have good draft capital. And the other veteran quarterbacks that we're going to talk about, I don't think any of them are better than Kirk Cousins. So I think there's a good chance to where he just re-signs with them in the offseason.
So just to clean it up a little bit, I want to go through and just give me a yes or no.
Okay.
I mean, are they going to be with their team?
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, so we're doing this. Yes.
Josh Allen.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Joe Burrow.
Yes.
I'm just going to skip Justin Fields.
That's
Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
$200 million.
Yeah. I dare you to cut him and see what happens to your cap.
Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Daniel Jones.
Yep.
Tua.
Yep.
All right, we'll just get rid of them. And then can I knock off all the rookies? Anthony Richardson.
Without a doubt. Yep.
CJ Stroud. Where's he? Bryce Young. All right, so that cleans it up a little bit. That takes our list.
About 15-ish, it looks like.
17. 18. Is Fields on your top 10?
Fields is on my top 10.
Okay, then we're going to leave him. Yeah. So right now, you have Kyler, Mac Jones, Cousins as your honorable mentions.
Yep.
Give me your number 10.
Okay, my 10 is Brock Purdy. His salary cap is just there, right? I don't think they want to replace him because they have so many good players on their team that I don't think they can replace him. And Trey Lance is not the answer, no matter who wants to buy into him. Sam Darnold obviously isn't going to be taking over for Brock Purdy during the season. So for me, it's Brock Purdy, and the only reason why I really had him listed is he hasn't made it through a full year uninjured yet. So when that happens, then I'll completely take him off my list because I think he's probably their locked-in star for the next few years. But as of right now, he has to be kind of in the top 10, in my opinion.
All right, so we got Brock Purdy, $39,000 cap hit.
Yep. Yeah, that's why they're not going to cut him. It's like, why cut that contract?
I think Dan said he's going to cover that cap hit out of pocket next year.
Well, probably.
All right. For me, Like, should we go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8?
I think
or
so.
if I have somebody that you say, should I piggyback off that conversation?
Yeah, we should probably do that because otherwise we'll get all jumbled up.
All right. Number 9 for me was Brock Purdy.
Okay.
And part of this at the top of the list here is by default, to be honest with you. We went through all of those names. I think Justin Fields takes the leap and is not replaced, especially with a $6 million cap hit here. Is Aaron Rodgers? I think he's safe. He's safe. Geno Smith, is he safe?
Yep.
Russell Wilson?
Not safe.
I'll leave him on your list. Jared Goff?
Safe.
Stafford?
Not safe.
Carr?
Safe.
All right. So let's just clean this up a little bit more.
Yeah, Pickett safe too. Unless you have Pickett on there.
No, but he was an honorable mention for me.
I get that.
Just again, and the reason I wanted to remove so many of these guys is you can see, barring something crazy, that gets us down to 13. So, but Brock Purdy, again, partly by default, but just because we don't know what the 49ers are ever going to do.
Yeah.
And
true.
To exude any type of confidence and knowing that, and that's why I said it on last week's episode with Dan, and I used your example with Deshaun Watson, because I remember you saying this, you don't always have to take a side on a value.
Yeah.
Just if you don't want to trade for somebody, don't trade for them.
Yep.
And it's the same with Purdy and Lance and Sam Darnold. If you want to throw him in there, you don't have to get involved in this situation, especially if you are only in 1 or 2 leagues. Just stay away from the situation. And I would never blame somebody for staying away from a Kyle Shanahan situation, whether
Completely
it's quarterback, running back. We saw Brandon Ayuk hit the doghouse early in his career. So at number 9, it's Brock Purdy. I do believe, though, if he is able to stay healthy, he's going to be that game manager that they can use with that $39,000 cap hit with all the other guys around him. And he'll be the starting quarterback in 2024. Who's number 9 for you?
Justin Fields. So the reason for this is, so my 12-year-old started playing football for the first time, right? And so he didn't know what a first down was 3 weeks ago. I mean, that's just how out of it he was. But and
you might say the Bears offense, they still don't know what a first down is.
And that was the problem. So we went to watch one of their games against the Lions. And I mean, watching Justin Fields, I think he's amazing for fantasy. I understand why fantasy managers want to buy into him. But you watch him, and I mean, he was lost. I mean, completely lost. And he wasn't a rookie last year. This is his second year in the league. And so I think this is going to be his make or break year. The Bears did not buy into him completely in the offseason. There was a lot of hedging. And then they decided to move off that number 1 overall pick. And so all I'm saying is, I get it. I get it, John. I get it. But he might not be a good quarterback. I think we do need to at least put that possibility out there, even though he could be a top 3 scorer in fantasy this year.
There certainly is that risk, and we haven't seen that leap. And I know a lot of people, when they want to say, well, the Buffalo Bills, they brought in Stephon Diggs for Josh Allen. The Philadelphia Eagles brought in A.J. Brown. DJ Moore isn't Stephon Diggs.
No.
DJ Moore is not A.J. Brown. And I don't think Justin Fields is going to take that incredible leap and catapult himself into that Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen category. But you say they hedged. How much of that was just media mumbo jumbo?
It completely could have been. Like, without a doubt, especially because I don't listen to the local writers or read the local writers in that town. So maybe I'm completely off. But it didn't seem like they were falling over themselves to compliment Justin Fields after the season ended.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in the, I don't know. I'm looking at it from a leverage standpoint. And once they did, they have that pick. Oh yeah, we're 100% invested in Justin Fields. All right, well, you lose leverage if you take a firm stance. So
I get it.
But again, maybe it was, well, we're still thinking about taking Bryce Young 101. But, and if you don't think that, this is the thing, if you're against him and not taking that step as a quarterback, And as an organization with that offense and their record, how they do in 2023, it's reasonable to have him on your top 10 list here.
That's why I'm willing to move him. I think his value's probably as high as I see it going. It could be higher, without a doubt. But for me, his value is so high right now. I know I could get a good return on him. So that's why I'm more than happy to move off of him.
All right. Number 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an honorable mention for you. And I've invested heavily in this gentleman. And I think with I think with Bill O'Brien, he is going to excel. But you saw Bill Belichick pull the plug on this kid once.
That's true.
You saw them go to Bailey Zappi. How much confidence does that instill in dynasty managers that, hey, they really are going to stick with this kid? Now, luckily, his price is low enough that it's not overly concerning. Like, oh, I have to invest multiple first round picks and it's really going to burn me, or I got to spend a third round startup pick on him. You don't need to do that. So I do think he builds up again, and we see more of that rookie year efficiency than what we saw under Matt Patricia. But this number 10 spot, number 9 for me, I think there's a bigger break for me between this 9 and 8 spot. Like, I almost messaged you and said, can we just do a top 8?
Oh, yeah. I like the top 10. I like the top 10.
It's just an easy round situation.
It is.
So I have Mac at 10. You had him as an honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
I have Brock at 9. You have him at 10. I don't have Fields on my list. Hit me with number 8.
Okay, number 8 is going to be Russ. And if I just take a step back, I mean, take our player takes off for Russ for a minute, but just taking a step back and looking at it, he was a quarterback that was traded off his team, went to a new team and wasn't good. They replaced everybody in the front office, new head coach who's, Sean Payton's going to be doing his own thing no matter what, right? So for me, I think, and they paid, was it Jarrett Stidham paid him like $17 million to come in and back up. Might have been 16 million, but it was right around there. So they paid him a lot of money to come in and be a backup. And so for me, it's, if you take just
10
Russell,
10 million for 2 years.
Okay, well then I completely lied. I just made that up. Yeah, but I mean, it sounded a lot better the way that I phrased it. I was just lying, I guess. But if I just take a step back and look at the situation, I think Russ is one of the quarterbacks to where he could just easily not be good and can be replaced. Because I don't buy into that offensive line. I don't buy into Javonte being really good. They've already lost Tim Patrick. Who knows how good that defense is going to be? So for me, it's very easy for me just to be like, you know what? No Russ for me. I understand why people would want to buy him at his devalued price right now, but for me, I'm just out.
I bolded, italicized, and underlined $85 million cap hit.
They could move that around. We've seen these things change.
We have, and listen, I'm not going to fight you on this because we spend so much time talking about Russell Wilson, especially me. And whenever people are in startups and like, hey, who should we take? I always say, listen, I would take Russ, but I get it. If there's players off your board and you just think completely shit the bed, I get it. I do think Russ bounces back, but I'm going to be in for a world of hurt if he doesn't. All right. Number 8 for me. This is where it starts to get somewhat interesting.
I like it. Yep.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ooh, I have him a lot higher on the list.
Now, I believe that, and we've talked about this, like this team, even when maybe they should have gone full rebuild, they never want to blow it up.
Nope.
They always want to be in that situation, especially in that division. Well, now with Jacksonville seemingly taking a leap, we'll see what happens there. But they've always been in a position with, hey, we can run the ball, we can play solid defense. We just need to take care of the ball, be somewhat efficient. We don't have to light the scoreboard on fire. And I think, I think there is a chance that they put themselves in a decent spot this year they give Tannehill like a 1-year contract or a 2-year deal with an out after 1 year. And, or maybe they don't do anything right away, but, behind the scenes, they're exploring options. There's nothing out there. They're not in a spot to make an early draft pick, and they stick with them. But here's the thing with Tannehill. I think he's going to start somewhere in the league next year.
Oh, I could see that too.
Is it going to be a situation where it's like a Garoppolo that maybe he gets a year, assuming Garoppolo doesn't perform any better than this training camp reports we're seeing right now? He was just 1 for 7 with 3 interceptions that were dropped. Like, we'll see. But for me, Ryan Tannehill, he kind of gets in that murky water of he's good enough to be a starter in the NFL. The team dynamic and what we see in 2023 is really going to dictate what happens with him. Because if they go 3-14, they probably switch to Levis already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be Ryan Tannehill moving forward. So for him, it would be, I believe he is on a different team, more likely than not. Still not completely shutting the door on the Titans, but maybe 60-40 based on how the season goes and how that team wants to build moving forward.
Yeah, see, I have him all the way up at number 3. And it's
3
for everything you've laid out, but I think they did draft Levis for a reason. And I think Tannehill is extremely easy to walk away from. Like, his contract is up after this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, he was just one of those locked in. I think he's going to be an NFL starter. So having him on your dynasty teams is a good thing because he's going to keep putting you points for at least the next couple of years. But I think there's a very high likelihood it's just not on the Titans next year. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Put him on a different offense that has like more than one good skill player. Like, I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, whenever he's been healthy, whenever he's had even remotely decent, if that you can even say they hit decent weapons around him, he, like I said, he ran the offense for the most efficient red zone offense, at least one of the most efficient in NFL history. They were either punching it in or he was just firing it in the end zone at a clip that I don't think he'll ever reach. But yeah. All right. Who's number 7 for you?
7 for me is Desmond Ridder. I think he should probably be a little bit higher, but I really just don't like that NFC South division. I think Atlanta is going to be really good. And Arthur Smith put together a good offense with Marcus Mariota being one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen on the field in a long time. And so this is me buying into Arthur Smith, knowing what he is doing. They added Bijan. I think they're going to be a good enough team to where they're not going to be drafted high. And we've already seen them pass quarterbacks for multiple years in a row now. And I just don't see them. Can I see them moving on from Desmond Ridder? Yes. Do I see them being bad enough to drafting high? No. So it would be, they would have to bring in someone else for that. And so do I really see them bringing in, let's say for me, Russ over Ridder? Probably not. Just the way that they're spending right now, I think Desmond Ridder has like a 53% chance to be the starter there next year, right? To where all the guys that I'll be mentioning from here on out, I think they just have a lower likelihood.
Yeah, I toyed with the idea of where I was going to have Ridder here. It's the same exact spot.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of the things you said, and I do think it's a better, like for Tannehill, I said maybe 60-40 that he's probably somewhere else. For Ridder, drop the last letter there. For Ridder, I would say maybe 60-40 he does start week 1 for the Falcons. Maybe they bring an insurance policy in to maybe have a camp battle or see where the situation is. But for fantasy purposes, I'm still not on board with him.
Oh,
let me make that clear.
I get that.
I don't think he's going to be worth the 24 first. Let me make that clear. I know that was a conversation that we threw the poll up and there were some varying opinions.
I think there's 2 opinions on the other side.
I think it was Tim and Corey, right?
It was me. I was with Tim.
And then, Corey was the one that brought it up initially.
Oh, was he? Oh, I
don't know how he
brought it up. Yep.
Anyway, so 3 then, if that's how it went. But yeah, I would say slightly better chance than not he is with the Falcons. But the issue is like, if things go horribly awry,
Yeah.
Desmond Ritter, he's
gone.
my 7.
He
And
gone.
Yeah. All right. Who's number 6 for you?
6, I got Matthew Stafford. It's like, I think McVay
retire.
That's my thing. I think McVay and Stafford could both end up walking away after this year. It's Stafford's getting paid a whole bunch of money. I don't remember how much it is, but I don't want to throw out numbers because I just make them up at this point. But I know it's a lot, right? And so for me, like, you look at the defense is going to be horrible. Like, it's going to be bad. And then they have Cooper Kupp. And that's it. I mean, you can buy into Tyler Higbee if you want. But yeah, you brought it up right there. He's getting, oh Lord, it'd be $100 million dead money if they cut him this year. Goes down to 86 next year.
Yeah.
And so I just think there's a very strong likelihood that McVay walks away. When McVay walks away, Stafford's going to walk away with him. And for me, I just don't buy into the Rams being a good team this year. So for me, I could see everyone just walking away. Maybe even Les Snead just is like, you know what? I've done it. I won my Super Bowl. I'm going to go rebuild somewhere else.
Okay.
So he wasn't on your list, right?
No, he wasn't.
So I have like 3 people on my list that you don't have. So I'm a little worried when we get down here to the bottom 6 if I just completely didn't even think about 3 guys.
No, I think we'll be okay. Number 6 for me is Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
It's one of those situations. I truly don't know what they're going to do, but you would think with the pieces there, they would want to keep a player like Kirk Cousins. What veteran are you going to go out and get? Are you going to trade up? So, sorry, I was just reading an update. So I have Cousins here at 6, and to be honest with you, as we've been going through this, can I move him to 9?
You can move to 11. I think 11 would be perfect.
I want to move him to 9.
All right. Well, who are you putting at 6?
Desmond Ritter at 6.
All right.
So Mac, Cousins.
That's fair.
Mac, Cousins, Purdy, Tannehill, Ritter. And 5 left. Yeah. Okay. See, that's why I like these conversations. And I'm glad Jay Stu threw it at us.
Same. Yeah. No, I love it because I haven't really thought about it in this way. And like, who do I really, really think isn't going to be a starter next year?
Now, again, I think Kirk Cousins is locked and loaded to start somewhere.
Of course, just not for the Vikings.
That's what's in. And then Tannehill, I wouldn't say he's locked and loaded to be a starter, but 80% chance to start week 1 somewhere.
Right.
So Mac, Cousins, Purdy, Tannehill, Ritter for me through 6. And I want to put the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen. I reserve every single right to change this before the season rolls around.
I'll change mine in an hour. I mean, new information comes out, man. I'm more than happy to move on. We brought up, not to go on a tangent, but Shoemaker, right? Like, I was all over him in drafts. I think the dude's still on the pup list, right? He's not he's not like fully practicing yet, right? So I'm completely off of him now.
They said he had a little setback.
Yeah, so I'm completely off of him. Like, we have to adjust based off new information.
All right. So I'm interested here. Well,
I know.
I actually Pickett's safe, right? You think Pickett's safe?
Pickett's safe. Yeah.
Okay, then no, we're probably good here actually.
Okay.
I'll throw number 5 really quick.
Please do.
It's Kyler for me.
Okay.
And I just think that team is going to be so bad. I don't think they pass on Caleb Williams. And I've been buying Kyler. The fantasy floor and the ceiling, absurd. But I don't know that it's with Arizona.
Yeah, that's fair.
So for me, still buying them. But Kyler, Cousins, and Tannehill are the ones that would go start somewhere else if this list does in fact hold true. So who's number 5 for you?
Jordan Love. He's better than the other guys we have left, but I don't know if he's actually better. I just think he's more valued right now, and they spent a first-round pick on him, so he gives them that little bit of insulated value, and they signed him through next year. And so, sure, I mean, but yeah, he's easily, if you made like a hot seat for quarterbacks, he would have to be in the top 5, I think, on everybody's list, because we just don't know if he's an actual NFL quarterback at this point. He played at Utah State in the Mountain West, and it's not like he killed it his last seasons in the Mountain West. He was good the year before. They lost everybody, and then he was pretty average after that. So for me, I mean, I'm guessing you have him at 4.
He is my number 4. Yes.
Yep.
And I would say this is a situation where maybe they would draft somebody in the 3rd or something, or the 2nd, whatever. Or maybe they spend another late first-round pick. Well, you would assume they'd be winning then. But maybe they're
going to be winning.
Yeah, like as we're talking about this, it's easier and easier to see a situation that Jordan Love is not their starting quarterback. Now, does he start week 1 next year? Maybe.
Yeah.
But is he the starter come week 5, week 6? I don't know. And you said they could even pull the plug this year. $13 million dead cap next year. That is nothing.
Oh, no, that's nothing. And a big thing with a guy like Jordan Love, all the quarterbacks we've brought up previously, I could see why you would want to have them on your dynasty roster this year. I could understand even the argument for Desmond Ridder, right? I can't make up a good argument for Jordan Love unless you just absolutely think that he's going to be great. If there's any hesitancy there, I don't want him on a single one of my dynasty teams, because I don't think he's going to go up to be an upper echelon quarterback in the NFL. And so I know even if he's good, I could just wait till next year to get him if that's what I'm thinking, because I don't think his value is going to go up that much no matter what happens this year.
Yeah, I'm looking, and I actually thought about this earlier today when we, again, Jay Stu, thank you for dropping this great conversation starter. But I was thinking about where I have him tiered. I got to drop him. He's too freaking high.
Yeah.
Maybe I was too freaking high.
But that's the thing. I mean, you look at him, he's like, well, he's young, he's getting a chance to start. And while all that's true, there's a lot of variables going against him as well.
Yeah. And then it's like Garoppolo, Ridder, maybe bump Ridder up 1 with Purdy.
Right. Yeah.
And Love down 1 with Brock and Ridder. That's probably what I'll do here.
Yep. That's fair.
Yeah. It's, I think this team is just going to be, but let me play devil's advocate. Yes. Could this be the Seahawks of last year?
Could be. Yes.
You have a solid run game. You have AJ Dillon. You have Aaron Jones. You have Christian Watson, who could be like the DK. You have Romeo Dobbs, who's not Tyler Lockett, but let's say he is for the sake of this conversation.
You're right.
And
no, that's a great way to look at
Jaden Reed, who could be D. Eskridge.
No, but how you brought it up makes sense, because I mean, we saw Russell Wilson with the Seahawks the year before. He left. Everyone thinks that team's going to be completely garbage. Maybe we're wrong, but Geno Smith at least showed he was somewhat capable in the NFL before this,
like 7 years prior. But yeah,
at least, yeah. The broken jaw incident.
Yeah, that's going to be an adjustment that I'm going to be making here very quickly.
So my number 4,
really quick though. Here's the thing. So when I adjust somebody like Jordan Love, I was already I had him at quarterback. I had that 21 to 26 tier, and the market has him at quarterback 20. So I was still below market, and this is just going to put him even more below market.
You're going to be well below market.
But it's not like Jace too. Under no circumstances should Dobbs be compared to Lockett. So disrespectful. I couldn't even spit out the sentence.
They're both
trying
football
to say.
Players. I mean, it kind of works out.
Maybe, but I couldn't even spit out the sentence. But now talking about Jordan Love, just to wrap this up, it's not like I was above market and I'm like, oh, we got to go out and scoop up Jordan Love, scoop him up. So that's why these are situations that I still feel okay with the adjustment. And it's not like, oh, I kind of screwed over patrons.
Right.
No,
I get it. I get it.
All right. I'm justifying it for myself. All right. So we got We got 3 left.
We got 3 left. I guarantee my number 4 is going to be your number 3, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I'll tell you this. If I was told today that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be healthy for 17 games, he would not be on my list. The fact he's just always injured. He's going into the season injured. It took him until training camp to pass the physical. I just can't put any faith that he's actually going to be healthy enough to start. And I don't think the Raiders are going to give him a chance next year. If he can't stay healthy this year, they won't give him a chance next year to start. So in my opinion, he's just like, if I could get that injury guarantee on him, then I wouldn't even mention him. But as of right now, he's just I think he's going to be easily replaced going into next season.
Yeah, put him up there already. He's my number 3. I have so much Jimmy Garoppolo, but at some point you got to face the music. $11 million dead cap. The arm strength has just been abysmal from what we've been seeing. He's underthrowing so many receivers, not hitting anybody in a deep route. I know Davante Adams is telling people, "Hey, shut up! Like I'm a Raider. Jimmy's my guy. We're good.
That's
We're
my
good."
Quarterback.
Give him 5 weeks whenever Garoppolo's not hitting water falling out of a boat. It's like, listen, outside of his family, I'm probably Jimmy Garoppolo's biggest supporter.
You are. I'm surprised you don't have a jersey on the wall.
Who's to say I don't? Maybe I'm just too ashamed to bring it up. Well, when I get that helmet, that mystery box helmet, I know it's going to be Garoppolo. I just know it. But yeah, so Garoppolo, number 3. All right, battle. This is a battle.
You want to go with your number 2?
Sam Howell.
He's my number 1. So yeah,
it's
just a flip. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but I honestly should have put him as 2. The only reason why I put Sam Howell as 1 is because I'm not 100% certain he's going to be the week 1 starter this year.
Right.
I mean, Baker's not going to start for Tampa Bay next year.
Are we certain Baker's the week 1 starter in Tampa?
I think a little bit higher. Give me 2% higher odds on that one. But yeah, I mean, flip flop these two.
Here, how about this? How about this?
I like it. 1A and 1B. That is more than fair. So, do you want to go off on Sam?
Go with Baker first.
Oh, I was just like, Baker is not going to be a starting quarterback going into the league next year. Like that, I'm 100% certain about. I don't think. I mean, I'm actually going to hate if I listen back to this, and this is like the Seahawks of last year, to where I was like, look, you don't want anybody on this team. They're not going to be in the red zone. But like, I'm okay getting Mike Evans at value right now. I'm okay getting Chris Godwin at value right now. I'm just not touching Baker Mayfield on any team. If someone offered me him for a playoff 24-second, I'm not taking Baker Mayfield off my team. I'm not putting him on my team. I just want absolutely nothing to do with him.
Yeah, and this is a conversation. I need to pull it up here that was had in the Discord earlier in the off season. And I think it's whenever he first went to the Buccaneers, and I was shipping Baker off. I mean, I moved him for Dalton Schultz in 3rd and 30.
See, that's awesome.
And for context for everybody, that's a 14-team league, no tight end premium.
No tight end premium. Nope.
And I'll be honest, as soon as I made the trade, I went, oh God, I'm not in love with that. But obviously, there's no return policy.
Yeah.
So,
wait,
hey, can we swap them back now that I think about it? But Baker Mayfield, Sam Howell. I mean, both of them are in the same boat. We don't know if they're even going to be starters week 1. I think Sam Howell is. That's why he's my number 2.
And one more thing I want to add with Sam Howell is I think they completely rework the front office. I think we see a new coaching staff in there next year, no matter really what happens on the field, unless they end up going, 11-6 or whatever. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think they're going to revamp everything with that franchise, with the new ownership. And I just don't think Sam Howell's going to be able to live through, he'll be able to stay alive, but he probably won't see the field much in 2024 is my guess.
Yeah. Obviously still on his rookie contract, Baker not. So it's Baker's going to be a backup somewhere next year. I would say I would be absolutely shocked if he and Trask, they might play 8 and 9 games respectively. And so you think Jacoby, we see him at some point this year. Okay. Right. So to recap, and I'm going to throw this in the Discord too. Mitch from 10 to 1A, Purdy, Fields, Russ, Ritter, Stafford, Love at 5, Jimmy G, Tannehill, Baker, and Sam Howell from order of least likely.
Kind of least likely.
Yeah, leastish likely to not be. There's a lot of negatives here. But anyway, it goes down to the most likely not to start for the respective team week 1 of 2024. And then you had Kyler, Mack, and Kirk Cousins as honorable mentions. I went from 10 to 1A. Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, Ryan Tannehill, Desmond Ridder, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Jimmy G, Sam Howell, and Baker Mayfield. And I'm going to ask the people provide their lists too. Or maybe even a top 5. Doesn't matter.
Without a doubt.
And it will just be fun to keep track of it. Maybe I'll put together I'll just have people put in their list on the Google sheet with their name.
Right. You know, I like that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. All right. That was fun. I enjoyed, like, that was a good conversation.
I like that was like one of my favorite episodes we've had this offseason, to be honest with you, because it actually made me think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah. You saw it right there. I called an audible with my list. Like, I had my list. I'm like, I'm good with this, talking through it. That's why, who did I move? Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Mac again. So, like, that's why I wanted the break between 8 and 9, because Purdy, so many question marks. But anyway, J Stu, appreciate that. That's
Can we do a final
rely
thought?
on you guys.
I know we don't do final thoughts on Pivot Point, but I kind of want to do a final thought.
You know what? I'm gonna hit you with it.
Final thoughts.
Love it.
All
Okay,
right.
so the reason why I wanted to do this is, so Dynasty Daddy is an awesome website, right? And I think everybody should use it, even if you only have one team. Like, it just brings in and it gives you a rough estimation on what the dynasty values are, how good your dynasty team is, how good they will be as starters this year. So for what I do, every single team I've been looking at recently, I go in there and I open it up. The reason why I open it up is because every roster is right there. It's easily clickable. So I go like, hey, who has the 11th best wide receiver? Because I want to move a wide receiver. Oh, look, they don't have good ones. I could send them. They're really strong at tight end. I could attack them this way. So I think it makes trading so much easier. And it's not like I'm using it for my trade calculations or anything, but I just think it saves me a lot of time because I have a lot of leagues to where I could go like, I'll have to go through every single roster. I could be like, hey, look, they have the 12th worst. I have the second best tight end room. Let's see if we could fix that up a little bit. So I just want to give a shout out to them because I think Jeremy does awesome work over there.
It's absolutely incredible. And like you said, it makes things easier for you just going out, and you're not forced to, I'm just going to send out blind offers, or I have to go through every roster. Okay, Mitch has 2 or 3 starting running backs here. Like, you don't, it's right there all on one page. And it just saves you time, especially if you have a larger portfolio. But like you said, even if you just have one team, it really is an amazing resource. And I know we've blasted out in the Discord. We throw it on every episode description, but if you haven't had a chance, go check it out. And Jeremy is in the Discord. Tag him. He answers questions like right away.
Yeah,
so
dude's awesome.
All right, let's see. What's the comment here? Mitch getting crazy calling on.
I know I'm mixing it up today, but we do that on Sundays in Utah a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to know what that means, but anyway,
not a lot here, to be honest.
Any conversations like this, any topics, let us know, because we'd love to discuss it on the Pivot Point, and we appreciate everybody. We'll catch you guys in the Discord. Peace.